So Andrea, you didn't review Evolve for us, but we talked about Evolve a lot before Evolve
We
came
did.
out. You've been to lots of events and you've checked this game out because of scheduling and relative issues of where things were held in relation to where we live and where you live. But at the same time, you seem to have really taken an interest in Evolve. And Evolve, more than a lot of the games that have come out in the last 12 months, was really curious to see how much longevity it had and what people would be saying, much like Destiny, like how people would be approaching this game, weeks or months after release. So I'm curious to talk about where Evolve is at now and what is coming to Evolve, which you just checked out.
So, that's a really interesting point, trying to compare it to Destiny. I think they're two very different games. I think that
Definitely.
Turtle Rock has realized that they maybe need to do more things to get the community involved and give them a reason to come back to the game, which Bungie was really fantastic at, giving players a reason to come back to the game daily, if not weekly. And they're starting to do more events. We saw their St. Patrick's Day event recently where they tried to push Griffin as the hunter that they wanted people to play with because they noticed that not a lot of people were playing with him, which I thought was kind of interesting. But what I got to see when I went to 2K Studios and look at the new DLC was I got to play the new monster, Behemoth, who is coming, and also I got to play with the 4 new hunters. And I have to say, I was super thrilled about playing with Wraith. Wraith was my favorite monster, but this new monster, Behemoth, is pretty awesome. So if you guys haven't seen any gameplay yet, check some out right now. He is gigantic. He is twice as wide as Goliath. So moving around with him is going to be very challenging because he's just gigantic. He just knocks everything over. So they created this really awesome movement mechanic where he rolls like a giant rock. So you know how Kraken flies and Goliath leaps and Wraith kind of sneaks around? Like, this guy literally rolls up into a ball and you can roll with him throughout the map, and it's really, really fun. Like, more fun than I thought it would be. And it's great for traveling long distances, and it's great for running over small pieces of wildlife that you want to kill and eat. And it's just, he's more fun than I thought he would be because I really like sneaking, but he's also got really great abilities. So one of his abilities is called the Lava Bomb, which you use for ranged attacks that, just puts hot cinders all over the ground to burn hunters and wildlife. Another ability is called Tongue Grab that allows you to kind of throw out your tongue like frog style and like grab things in the distance. It's great for grabbing hunters, kind of like the Wraith's grab ability. And it's also really good when you're playing hunt mode to get wildlife in the very beginning of where you're trying to stage up. And then the other ability is called Fissure, which is kind of like where he like kind of pounds into the ground and it like kind of sends this shockwave down along the ground that can kill things in its path. And then the last one, which I think is probably one of the most unique ones, is called Rock Wall. And what this does is when you hit your ability button, it raises this vertical wall of rock in front of you that can be used to block your path if you're trying to escape from the hunters. It can be used to trap a hunter on the other side of the wall with you so you can kill it. You can use it for defense. And you can also use it to kill wildlife as well. And as you scale up that ability, if you put more points into it, the rock wall gets wider, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds like the most unique ability, I think, because it sounds like it's really functional. Like you were saying, you can use it for traversal, you can use it, to directly damage something, you can use it for crowd control. And you mentioned there's new hunters too. We should probably go through them.
Yeah, absolutely. So the new hunters, one for each class. The first one is Torvald in the Assault. And they called him as much machine as man. So he's got like this giant gun for an arm. It's an auto-fire shotgun. So you just hit the trigger once and it like multi-fires the shotgun, which is really awesome if you're close range. But he doesn't really have a great ranged attack, except for, that's fast, I should say, because he does have a mortar cannon. So he's got this cannon that kind of is good for slow-moving targets, very similar to Hank's Orbital Barrage. It's super powerful if you aim it precisely and if you can get a target that's not in movement. So it's really great for when the monster is attacking an in-capped player. So let's say one of the other hunters is down and the monster's trying to like kill them all the way. It's a great time to use the mortar gun. It's really great on large wildlife as well. And then his other ability outside of his class ability is the Shrapnel Grenades. So what these do is they create a bunch of different weak points on the monster or on wildlife, similar to Valve's armor-piercing rifle that she uses, except it has like a bunch of small weak points instead of one large weak point, and it causes 50% damage bonus, and you can stack it with Cabot's damage amp as well, which can be really powerful if you're using both of those players together. So he's pretty cool. The Trapper character was probably one of my favorites, Crow. He's a survivalist who scouted Sheer before colonization, so he's kind of like a lone wolf type. And he's got a pet bat ray named Gobi that outlines any nearby creatures. So what you do is you send him off in a direction down a long sight line, and he'll fly out and kind of highlight any moving wildlife or the monster. And as soon as he comes back, you can send him out again. He kind of acts like a boomerang. What's great about Gobi is that he helps find the monster, but he also can't be killed. Like Daisy, who I love using with Maggie, is awesome, but the monster can kill her. So what's great about Gobi is the monster can't kill Gobi, so you can always use it.
That's interesting. Huh, that's cool.
Yeah, so he's got a long rifle for his weapon. The rifle has a regular fire, but if you charge up the fire on his rifle, it ignores the monster's armor, which is huge, which is really, really important to use when you find the monster in the beginning, like when he's got full armor and like all full health. It's great to use those powered up shots to take away his health while he has armor. Or near the end when he's close to death. I think everyone's been in a match that's played Evolve where the monster has just like a sliver of health and then they escape and then go build up their armor and come back. What's great about Crow as a character is that his charged up rifle can then bypass all of the armor and just go right for the monster's health, which is cool.
And it's a good example of how recognizing classes and characters is important, knowing what monster you're going up against, obviously, to plan your strategy accordingly. And like you were saying, if you're a monster with really low health and you know that character is one of the hunters, then you're going to be a little more cautious because you know your armor will not save you. So it's a good play just to play up awareness, which is obviously important to the game if you want to use it to your advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, and as a Trapper character, Crow isn't meant to be doing the most amount of damage on the monster, right? That's obviously the assault's responsibility. And so I think it's a really cool, unique idea for a weapon, because I kind of feel like the other Trappers' weapons, with the exception of maybe Cabot, like are a little underpowered. But I mean, that's also part of the class design, I would say. He also has a Stasis Gun, which can slow the monster down. And you can also charge that up for longer stasis. It works just like the Stasis Grenades. So that also helps when you guys are trapping the monster as well. So one of the coolest characters that they have introduced is the new medic named Slim. So Slim was once human, but his DNA was spliced with insect DNA during the mutagen wars, and now he is more insect than man. He's got a really unique character design, and they're calling him a combat medic because he's the one medic that is the most powered up with firepower. So he can heal himself. He has a much bigger heal burst than the other medics do. It has a 10-meter range advantage over the other medics. And he also has a healing drone, which can be sent out to revive in-capped hunter. So if someone on your team goes down and you're not nearby, you can send your drone out and your drone will revive them. It can teleport across the map. Yeah, it's really awesome. And then there's his other ability is called the Spore Cloud, which when you deploy the cloud, when you're inside the cloud, the monster can't smell you, so it masks the monster's sniff ability. The cloud is about 40 meters large, but it doesn't move with you, so it's really good. Like once the Trapper throws down the dome to drop the Spore Cloud, so that way while the monster is moving around inside the dome, he can't see where the hunters are. So that's a really cool ability. And then his weapon is the Leech Gun. And what's cool about his weapon is that the more you shoot at the monster, it reduces the cooldown of his healing burst. So with each fire that you hit the monster with, that reduces the cooldown on his abilities. So the more you hit the monster, the faster your cooldown goes. And because he doesn't have, like a gun like Val does or grenades like Kyra does, you really need to rely on that heal burst to heal your teammates, because there's no other way to heal them really, unless you can get the drone on them. So yeah, he's really cool. I thought he was really interesting. They were talking about how they decided to make a more humanoid type character after the response from the community to Bucket. Bucket was one of my favorite characters because he's very unique. He's a robot. He can take his head off and fly around the map with it. But I thought that was interesting that they decided to go with another like non-human type character. So he's really fun to play with. And then the last character is Sunny. So she's the support character.
Hold on. Andrea, you just threw out the mutagen wars. Like I was going to follow you on that one. That's a part of the Evolve plot that I'm not familiar with, the mutagen wars. Is that what it's focused on in the story?
I've talked to Phil and Chris, the co-founders of Turtle Rock, about the lore of Evolve quite a bit, and I find it really fascinating. And I've told them, I said, I feel like you guys need to have like a companion app or something so that fans of the game can go out and learn more about this world, because you can only really pick up snippets of it when the hunters are in the dropship waiting to be dropped into the map. I mean, every once in a while they'll like talk to each other while you're running around and talk a little bit about the lore and about other planets and their experiences as hunters. And I find it really fascinating. I think it's a really interesting backstory, and there's really not a place yet to go and learn. I mean, you can find some stuff out on wikis and things like that, but I told them, I said, I want more. I feel like this lore is really interesting, and I wish that they would give us ways as fans to learn more about these characters. But I don't know what the mutagen wars are. That's literally just what they said. That apparently there were mutagen wars.
Prequel. I'm just asking for that. That's it. Before we move on. Okay, the fourth character, finally.
Yeah, so the last character is Sunny. She's the first female support character. And she was actually one of the first characters that the Turtle Rock team originally designed when they created the concept of Evolve, but she never got put in the game until now. She's Cabot's daughter, and she has previously worked with Parnell and Abe on some missions, so she's kind of reunited with them on Sheer, which is kind of an interesting backstory. So she has a shield drone that protects teammates. So Hank has the shield projector, and what she has is like essentially works like Hank's shield projector, except it's a drone. So she throws it out when they're in combat, and any hunter that's close to it can be protected by the shield drone. So that's a really cool feature, but the downside, of course, is that it's not mobile, so you have to be close to the drone. Once it's planted, it's planted. It's almost like a turret in that sense. And she also has fuel boosters. So what this does is it it's another attach weapon where you shoot it out and it attaches to the teammate. And what it does is it increases their power for their jetpack, and it also makes their flight speed faster. So it doubles the thrust, and it also gives them faster dodge. So this is really helpful when you're chasing the monster, and like let's say the dome has just come down and the monster is now retreating, and you want to send like the assault or the trapper out to get them. You can fuel pack boost them with Sunny, and then it like shoots them forward after the monster, which is really cool. And then her other ability that she has is the grenade launcher, which acts as like a mini nuke gun. It has an arc and it travels slow with a little bit of a slight delay before it explodes, but it's the biggest single shot weapon in the game.
That's smart, I think, for DLC to get people used to the firepower and then just like add a lot more damage. It sounds like there's a lot of extremes going on with the new characters and a lot of independent objects. So you have like, Lagobi, which you can throw out. A lot of things that are, you mentioned the medic that has a drone that you can send out independent of you. So it's interesting that, maybe they're trusting the players with kind of more to deal with, or trying to be in two places at the same time, which is something they dabbled in a little bit, but maybe something that they waited. So I'm trying to figure out like why specifically these characters were released later, if it was that they weren't developed enough, or if they thought this would be more interesting to people that got the basics of Evolve and then were looking to, branch out into different new directions as far as the gameplay was concerned.
I think it's probably a little of column A, a little of column B, right? Like, so it's potentially that they weren't ready yet. but it's probably more that they're a little bit more complex as characters, and they want people who have learned how to play the game and learn the strategy of each of the different classes to be able to play with them effectively. Because I found that they were just a little bit more complicated than some of the other characters that we've seen so far.
I think people are ready for new stuff. Is this all going to be packaged in one thing? Can you not get Behemoth separate or the Hunter separate? You gotta buy it all.
So it's all part of the season pass. So if you have the season pass, you'll get all of this stuff. But the new monster was part of the monster expansion pack that you got if you pre-ordered the game. I'm not even going to try to pretend like I know the breakdown because Evolve's DLC packages were so complicated that I could not keep them all straight if I tried. I know that you can buy everything individually except for the maps. There are 2 new maps, and those will be free for everybody because Turtle Rock has said that they don't want to separate the community, that they want everybody to play on the same maps together. So
that's smart.
Broken Hill Mine and Broken Hill Foundry are the 2 new maps. The one has it's a new environment. There's like stalactites, there's big doorways, there's underground chambers, there's a lot of tight corridors with a tunnel system. And the Broken Hill Foundry map is actually set inside of an abandoned town. So it's one of the first maps where it's mostly man-made. There's not a lot of wildlife. So that's have cool. It's really cool. So they have these crates filled with this ore that's edible for the monster because there's just not enough wildlife for you to eat to evolve. So you have to eat this special ore. And in evacuation mode, it gives the hunters and the monsters unique abilities as well on these 2 new maps.
Cool. That's a ton of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Thank you for taking such detailed notes and for checking this stuff out. Are you excited about this? I mean, do you think this is smart for the game, and is this going to get you reinvigorate your love of Evolve to make some more time for it?
I'm definitely excited for it. However, as somebody who did not purchase the season pass, I think that the prices feel a little steep for how much content was in the base game. Now, I have to say that because a lot of people have very varying opinions about DLC and season passes, and generally I'm a fan if if they give you a good offering in the base game, but I think that, like $750 for one hunter seems like it's a lot. I'm not sure how I feel about that price-wise. Obviously, if you plan on playing Evolve, the season pass is the best way to go. It's where you save the most amount of money, and hopefully you pre-ordered so you get the 4th monster for free. So, but I'm excited to play. I am still playing Evolve. I usually only play solo mode because I like playing by myself, unless I'm playing with my friends. But I'm excited to check these guys out. Behemoth is so much fun to play. I'm really excited to sink some time into leveling him up and unlocking some more of his abilities. And the new hunters seem really cool too. So yes, to answer your question, I'm excited.
I like that they are tracking also the usage of the monsters and who plays what hunters. It's going to be interesting to see if the entire community shifts immediately to these people, or if you have some players that are like, no, I really like these characters, and I'm curious to see how they'll balance now with the new characters, and how all of this is how all of this is taken by this community that will desperately gobble up any new content that this game throws their way, because new stuff, whether it's characters on the good or bad side, significantly changes the experience, because that's what the whole thing is geared towards. So I'm sure they're ready.
I mean, and they're making strides to making this more of a part of the esports community. They've added in observer mode, which allows you to be a spectator, and you can follow specific players, you can follow the monster, you can see, the probability of the monster winning or the hunters winning. They've really kind of tailored this for the Twitch community, for people to kind of get in and become fans and be part of that community, which I think is the right direction for them to go with a multiplayer only game. And just so people know, you don't have to buy the new characters or the new monster in order to play against them. So if you're on maps with people who have these new characters, you can still play with them. You just can't play as them.
Well, that is a massive amount of information, Andrea. That's a lot more than I was expecting. And there's a lot of stuff coming to this game. And I'm curious what you think and how the community perceives this. And like I was saying, whether they all absorb the new stuff or whether they stick to their guns and play with the characters that they're used to. So we'll see how Evolve grows.
Yes, only time will tell.
Thank you, Andrea.
Yes! You feel it, don't you, Keith? Get up! We need you! Oh!
Pick me up from your butt.